What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome back to the Unfiltered Experience. It is Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you are at your place where we have unfiltered conversations designed to move your confidence, your awareness, and your beliefs forward so that you can live an amazing life. I'm Christopher Rausch, and I am your No Excuses coach, and I'm always joined here by my awesome brother from another mother in Austin, Texas.
I am Scott Goyette, also known as Groot, according to Chris.
I am Groot. I know I can't watch the movie. I can't say I am Groot without thinking about you and thinking about that picture. I need to get that picture framed. Maybe I'll do that for you for like your birthday or something like that. That picture where your hair is all spiky and you're standing behind the tree. Just to give everybody context, Scott and I had met in person a couple of times, and he was standing and there his hair was nice and spiky, and then all of a sudden, of course, he's like 7'12", and then this tree behind him had these like branches that went out.
Hilarious.
Like, you look like Groot. Like, I am Groot.
It looked like my hair because it was black and it came out like this. And when I'm looking at it, I go, "What's wrong with my hair?" And you're like, "That's a tree." I'm like, "Oh, okay." It's kind of weird. I like it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. How are you doing, brother? How's your week going?
It's all beautiful. It's all beautiful, man. You know, we say the same thing again and again, and I don't think it gets boring. It's embracing and enjoying these moments. And sure, there's distractions all around us, but the person who's mastering the art of living is definitely embracing and enjoying each and every moment. And that's
it really is. I helped somebody out. I helped somebody out this week. They were sitting there having a really tough week, and they were like, I'm just tired of this, and I'm tired of that, and always going through this and always going through that. And I'm like, tell me something. I said, when have you learned and grown the most? When things were easier, when things were challenging? And he thought about it for a second. He's like, well, I guess when things were challenging. And I said, so things are challenging right now, right? And he goes, yeah. And I said, so if you shifted your perspective and saw that things were happening for you right now instead of to you, and that everything that's happened and everything that's happening is preparing you for what's next, what mind shift could you do to get excited about that as opposed to being mad and frustrated and blaming about that? And he thought about it. We were on a Zoom call, and he's like, dude, I just love the way you like shift things. And it's like, yeah, I you don't like the chaos and the uncertainty and the trauma and everything else. But at the end of the day, on the other side of it, you can look back and go, wow, I'm so glad that I went through that because it helped me become the person that I became. And so I think it's just really about that. And you and I both, we talk during the week and we have our own challenges and stuff like that. But I think it's about that perspective shift. If we can just shift our perspective just that little bit and realize that things are not going to stay the same forever unless we decide they're going to stay the same. And if we decide to grow through that, it's pretty amazing. And that's what we've been talking about in this whole series, is about leadership, about how we can lead ourselves and our minds, in our families and our businesses and everything else in different capacities. We have to take the responsibility. I mean, nobody's going to come and save us. And so I think it's been a beautiful series of conversations, and I'm excited for the one tonight as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I like what we're talking about here too, because one of the reasons that people end up getting stuck in those moments and saying the world is against me, everything's happening to me, is we live in here. And so we're handed an identity and we're told, Scott, you should become a business person, or Scott, you should become a doctor, or whatever it is we're told our identity should be. And then, as we talked about in Man's Search for Meaning, in the Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, when we listen to that book, what they're saying is, make sure you're not that 95% of people who are on your deathbed and said, I didn't do this world enough for me. I didn't live for myself. And not in a YOLO like way, but I didn't find my own brilliance, do the things that bring me joy, because then the universe wants to compensate me and offer currency so that I can bless the world with my blessings. And our guest today does exactly that. I look at so many people, being a business professor, I see so many of my students will say, I'm going to become a restaurant owner because my dad owns restaurants and I'm an owner. I'm like, do you like restaurants? And like, no.
Yep.
And so you already see where this is going. Or I'm going to be a financial planner like my dad. Do you like that? Well, makes a lot of money. I'm like, you didn't answer my question. Right. And so this is what I love about the guest that we're going to talk to today, is he does something that when from the outsider, you're going to look at him and go, dude, why do you do this so much? Why do you keep doing this one thing so much? And it almost seems crazy. But when you listen to him and you look at the joy he has when he's doing this thing, and then look at the amazing things that come from it, all of a sudden it makes sense. And this is a stance on leadership I think we forget, is to be the best version, honest version, genuine version of ourselves. And then the universe is going to bless us exponentially. And that's what's happening to my friend, Tom Stuker. Tom, come on board.
Welcome to the Unfiltered Experience, brother.
What's happening? I'll tell you two, this is the best way to spend a Friday night, right? I mean, well, now that the happy hour's over officially, now I want to, no, but seriously, you guys are the guys that I like to hang out with, the people. I don't want to get this masculine thing, but you're the kind of people I like hanging around with. And the way to define those people is really simple. They work hard and give harder.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the easiest way to define my best friends out there right now are people. And I am so blessed. You know, my second wife, right? I've got to number them, right? And,
Collect them.
I mean, no, I was on a flight. I was on a flight a couple of days ago, and I told the flight attendants, and then I know almost all the flight attendants, especially on international flights. And so we're all sitting in the galley, and I said, gals, next year I celebrate 50 years of marriage. And they're all excited for me. They're going, oh, wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations. I said, I'm trying to throw the biggest party I've ever had, but I'm having some problems. They go, what's the problem? I go, my first two wives don't want to come, you know?
I love it.
All right. So outside of, you know, 2 strikes, and I finally found the woman of my dreams who's an angel from God, and 27 years later. But over the years, you know, we talk about aspirations and you know, getting the best out of yourself and maximizing your life, or self-actualizing, or all those, you know, Maslow terms.
Little Maslow stuff.
Yeah, there we go. So how about I'm probably a freshman or sophomore in high school, and my dad's sitting in his booth after killing himself at work on a blue-collar job, and having his 6th or 7th Blatz or Old Milwaukee or whatever it was back then. He said, so where do you want to be when you grow up? Now, I know most people say a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. I kind of had a different answer. I said, I want to be a millionaire, right?
Nice.
And I thought he'd be happy for me for, you know, for having high aspirations. And he actually started reaming me a new one. I mean, he really was pissed off that I had that as an answer. He says, well, I've been doing X amount for X amount of years, and I only make X amount of dollars. And then he finished by saying, what makes you think you're smarter than me? Well, good luck with that one with your dad, right? So so I said, well, I don't know. I just, you know, and he just, all the wind came out of my sails, and I'm walking back out of the kitchen through the dining room. My mom follows me out, and she says, don't worry, you'll be a millionaire. I said, Mom, any hints of getting there would really be helpful at this point, you know? And it's just like, why did I quit school? I was learning, you know, as a business major. I quit school halfway through my senior year. Why? Because I want to be a millionaire, right? And I found out my college professors that were teaching me how to do this were all making 22 grand a year. And I'm thinking, this is not the place to learn. I'm not knocking college, because I tell people 98% of the people should probably finish college. I was not one of them, right?
Right.
I literally had to get out and fail. My parents were, you know, the good cop, bad cop, like, and back in those days, you know, when they had discipline. Today they call it child abuse. But but I mean, you know, they say the glass is half empty or the glass is half full. You know, I had neither one of those in my household. My mom's glass was so full, we had flood insurance at our house, right? And because it just was, she was so positive, and God bless her, she was that way. My dad, oh my God, Mr. Negative. And the glass was not only half empty, he drilled a hole in the bottom so no water could ever get in, right?
Wow. What did you learn most about from your dad? I mean, considering his negativity and everything, and then we're always talking about spinning things as far as, you know, becoming that millionaire. What were some of those core lessons that you learned from your dad to be able to apply to become the man you are today?
Well, his discipline, I did learn from him. It was self-respect. You learn respect for others. So, I mean, there was some really hard lessons of respect yourself, respect the value of a dollar, all that kind of stuff, you know. But the thing that I really found out is what we're doing right now. Surround yourself with positive people. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I have another day, another week, another month, or another 20 years to drive my wife nuts. But for every day I stay completely around positive people. I mean, I am so blessed to have so many friends around the world. My top 5 friends are from four of them are from different countries that I met when I was traveling.
And talk about that too. So again, like, I threw the thing out there. I didn't tell everybody what it is. So those people who don't know you yet don't know what that thing is that you do all the time, and it's flying. And you've flown over 23 million miles on United Airlines alone.
24 million in February. No, in December. And then I've already picked out the day I'm going to do my 25 million. And it's 2525. All right. February 5th, the 25 is the day somehow, some way I'm going to fly my 25 million. Right.
Wow.
But yeah. And it's there's no Pulitzer Prize for flying. There's no, I always said, I got the world record on just about everything for flying, but that and 10 cents will get you a dime. But I mean, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Back in 1990, my consulting business in the auto industry was just taking off, and we were starting to do a lot of work in Australia. And I was producing a show down in Dallas, ASTN, the first it was a K band. It was some cable show that went into car dealers around North America. And I literally got big on the map. And like I said, my business is taking off. I was making more money than I really was pretty much used to. I mean, I was, get crazy. I went out and bought a 18,000 square foot home because when I was a kid, that's one of the things. I would drive around the rich neighborhoods and said, one of these days I'm going to live in one of those homes. I end up getting one nicer than those, right? But
wow,
I found out there's a big difference between a house and a home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I lived in an 18,000 square foot house that I was miserable in, and I don't want to get into that because I don't want any negativity from me or anybody else, right? But today I live in a 2,100 square foot home, very expensive up in New Jersey, outside of Manhattan. But I'm happy. I'm happy. I don't have 3 Mercedes in my whatchamacallit in the garage. Right. I literally, people say, "What do you drive?" I said, "Whatever Uber shows up," And I mean, we have a nice car we have at home, but gosh, I'm on the road so doggone much. I mean, a rent-a-car is just crazy for me, so I have a driver all the time, Anyway, so in 1990, this guy says, "Why don't you buy a pass on American Airlines?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, for $250,000, it gets you anywhere in the world that American Airlines flies first class." I'm going, wow. And then I'm a number cruncher, so it didn't take long to figure out this could work for me. So I go to United because I was living in Chicago, and that was my home airline. I said, "I think you're going to lose me as a customer." And they said, "No, we have that pass too." I go, "Well, why do you keep it a secret?" So anyway, long story short, the guy comes to my office, tells me about this pass, and I said, "Well, American's got you beat. It's only $250. Yours is $290, and apparently American had just raised their price to $290. And then he says, "Unless you want the companion pass." I said, "What's the companion pass?" He says, "Well, for $480,000, you could fly and have anybody with you as long as they're on your same itinerary." So I said, "Okay." I wrote him a check for the $290, and I said, give me a 3-month option on the 6 months go by. And I said, "Hey, you know what? God, time's flying. Just where do I send that extra $190?" He goes, "Tom, I wish I could, but it's been 6 months. I can't give you that same price anymore." So what's the new price? It's not $480 more. It's $650. So it went up another $170,000. It was more than the money of 2 single passes. So anyway, long story short, I had to talk to somebody at United Airlines. It was at a Bears game after about a half a dozen Bacardi and diets, my favorite go-to, right? I negotiated to $510. I go to the bank. I said, "I want to borrow $510,000 because I wanted to float their money, not mine." And the banker says, "What do you need $500,000 for?" I said, "Airline ticket." He goes, "Where the hell are you going?" So
the moon.
Okay, so I buy this airline ticket. I've been flying a zillion miles. At the beginning, it was just about business. And my kids were young, so I stayed my summers at home and all stuff. I didn't really get crazy until until probably the last 12 years or something like that. And that's when I started hitting like a million miles a year. I've just been going nuts. The one of my best friends, okay, we're talking about how I met my best friends. My two best friends, one's from England, one's from Australia. Got another from Grenada. I just meet people all over the world, and I become really great friends because I don't know. I think God's put me in that position. Yes, I do believe that God puts me in a position. He puts me in a position to make bad choices too. But thank God I got him over my shoulder going, no, pick door number two, door number two. Right? Anyway, my best friend from Melbourne, Australia, who's in the car business and got me going and helped me get going and establish in Australia for consulting, lost his son at 2 years old from brain cancer.
Oh,
that should never. None of us should lose our.
None of us should ever lose.
We're supposed to outgrow our kids, right? Anyway, he started a foundation, Bailey's Day, right? Named after Bailey, who died 2 years old of brain cancer. So once a year they do a golf outing and an auction and all that stuff. And especially in the last 10 years, I really got involved in the auction. And what I do is, because I got a pass and I have the ability to fly anywhere, any place, anytime, I said, well, why don't I do this? Why don't I auction off about a dozen seats every year? Where I literally, with my pass, I go down to Australia, I pick somebody up, I bring them back to the States. And for some people, I bring them all the way to London because they've donated so much money to this cause. And then also, because I'm a global service with United, a really great benefit is I'm able to upgrade anybody that has a coach ticket on that flight. So technically, people bid, they get one free business class, and then if they buy a cheap coach ticket, it's immediately upgraded to business class. So it's a hell of a deal. We always auction it for less money they would pay to buy the round trip ticket. I'm going to start raising the price because I just want to raise more money, right? So, right. And then this year, somehow, some way, I'm going to open it up to Americans, where an American could bid to go to Australia, right? And then I'll go down to Australia, pick the two of them up, and bring them back to the States, unless it's just one person. We've raised just short of $1 million so far, and so the pass cost me $510,000. I've already doubled my money with charity work by raising $1 million for children's cancer. And it doesn't cost me any money. It costs me like 50 days of my life every year flying back and forth to pick people up and everything. But I've made so many great friendships from the people that are so generous to donate that money to Bailey's Day. So if I had to list my top 50 friends, and gosh, one time I think I could have listed all my friends on one hand, and my second wife says, "Oh, you don't have a lot of friends." I said, "I don't want a lot of friends,
right?
Because my idea of friends is different than yours. My friends means commitment. My friends means if they said I need $10 and all I got is $5, I said, here's $5 right now, right? And that's the kind of friends I have. If I ask them, I need $10 and all they have is $5, they will give me $5, and then they'll say, here, give me a week, I'll come up with another $5 for you. Don't worry, I got your back. I have a couple of hundred friends that are like that. I've been so blessed by friends. I do believe what goes around comes around. The more you give, the more you get, right? And if you stay with positive people, your life is just going to be so rich inside because of the vibe, of the karma, because great friends, and I have great friends, are priceless. There's no wealth. You give me a 50,000 square foot home. No. Give me 50 good friends in 1,000 square foot home. I mean, really? I mean, just my friends are the jewels of the world. I mean, just
Tom, I want to.
Yeah.
You're providing so much ammunition for questions. Just gotta hit the pause break there for a second. We're sitting there talking. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about leading our life, and that's what you're doing. You're setting an example of how to lead your life through passion, through integrity, through values, through having a vision. But so many people out there right now are so stuck in the minutia of today. They're stuck in just trying to survive today. They're stuck in just got to make it through today, Chris. I just got to try to figure it out. What type of leadership, philosophies and values and integrities, perhaps can you share with people who are struggling right now to be able to see that, to be able to see past the minutia and the chaos that they're living in right now, to have that vision, to become that person that they're supposed to really become?
Well, first of all, it starts with who you are and who you define yourself to be.
Yes.
And that is, you got to be positive. You got to be positive. And now a lot of people that know me know I bitch and moan about, things just like everybody else. But
yeah, we all do.
But my glass is a lot more full than it is empty. That's for sure. And like I tell people, because I get interviewed about all my flying, and they go, what advice do you give? And people are looking for ways to beat the system for my advice. And my advice is kind of a little awkward. I said, well, first of all, fly with respect, self-respect, because somewhere on that plane, you're showing 200 people who you are, what your version of you are, right? So first of all, respect your seatmates when you fly, for God's sake, right? And then respect the flight attendants. Yeah. Flight attendants will come down there and they got 200 people to serve and take care of in the back of the bus and everything. And so, when you go up there, they say, what can I get you to drink? And that means quit looking at your damn phone, put it down for a second, give them eye contact. And it's not just a plane. It's the servers in a restaurant. It's the person that's checking you out at a grocery store or something like this. But please respect other people like you'd like to be respected yourself. And just like, I don't go anywhere. If I get a cup of, I'm not a coffee drinker, but if I go to McDonald's or wherever, first thing I'll always say is, how you doing today? Yeah. When I make reservations, and yes, I've flown 12,000 times, and I can make these reservations on a phone, but I will always call the number, and I always start off by, how are you doing today? Well, because you can always get a lot more bees with honey. I'll tell you, I find myself trying to help people. I'm not going to go down in the history books as the most charitable person in the world, right? Because there's some really great, great people. But when I'm at the airline and I see people start bitching and moaning, I literally jump in like a referee. And I'll say, time out, right? Nice. You want this woman to help you, but you first started off by saying, I'm never going to fly United again. So what's in it for them, right? I said, this person woke up with their job. It's called customer service. Let them try to help you, and don't threaten them or say you suck and all that stuff. I said, that's not fair. I said, here, let's take it from the beginning. So I tried to teach people. I said, here's how we do it. Hi, Joyce. I said, just like everybody else in this line, this is not a good day for me. I'm just trying to get to Cleveland. Can you help me? Right? Yeah. And I said, that's going to motivate that person to work harder for you than the person that says, I'm never going to fly this airline again. And that's another thing. I said, I'm never going to fly this airline again. Okay, let's see. Lightning storms that the FAA says you can't fly because it's too dangerous, right? I said, it's not the airline's fault. You don't say, I'm not going to fly the airline again. You say, I'm not going to go to church again because God created this storm, right?
I'm going to switch religions on this one.
and so I'm never going to go to church again. Is that what you're saying to me right now, right? Because it's God's problem, right? I said, he works in mysterious ways, and I'm still trying to figure out why he's not trying to get me to Hawaii right now. But not that he doesn't have other things on his plate, but I think most people's glass is more half empty than half full. I said, I don't think we realize how blessed we are.
Yes.
Yeah. So think of one thing you said there, because you said something that I really liked a lot. You said, I'm not the most charitable person, but I do my best, whatever. I think people oftentimes think of charity or think of giving from something, financial or giving gifts. And you just brought up the most amazing point that every single person here can be ultra charitable in their energy starting right now. And so imagine if everywhere I walk in, it doesn't even have to be, some people I've had this conversation about positivity because people bash me a lot going, you're always saying you're positive, whatever. It almost feels toxic. And I'm like, first and foremost, stop with the idea that it's toxic. I'm showing you the best version of me in this present moment by making a choice to share a certain energy with you right now. I'll go decompress. I'll have my moments. I'll be authentic on social media when I'm not having a good day. But your point of what can we do right now as a leader to be somebody who is energetically positive? So in other words, I know this situation sucks for everybody. What can I do to change this situation? And we have the power to do that in every given moment. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I think what's happening right now is your successes, honestly, are byproducts of a certain energy. So people think, oh, Tom Stuker flew all these miles. How cool is that? I think what they're really saying is Tom Stuker's having a damn good time flying a million miles, connecting with other humans and being part of this system that's actually the positive. And they're jealous of that. I think there's almost I got
haters out there, Scott. I got haters.
Yeah.
I got people that say, oh, I hope you and your family die from your carbon footprint. And you know what? I could literally engage and get in a pissing match with them, but time is too short. You have choices every minute of every day. And I love what you said about charity. Charity isn't giving money. It's not necessarily giving time, but it's also giving of yourself. It's also, here, let me give you an example of charity. I use my pass to fly to India. I always wanted to go to the Taj Mahal. And so I'm in Delhi, and it's about a 3-hour journey. You either go by train, no thank you, bus, 87 people in a 40-person bus, no thank you. So I hired a car here. I'm thinking I'm going to get a nice limo. It's about a 40-year-old town car that comes and picks me up. And we weren't 6 blocks from the hotel, and my driver got stopped by a cop, and he didn't do anything wrong. They were just shaking him down for money because they see he's with a passenger, so he's going to get some money. So 10-minute argument, I'm looking at the money exchange hands. It was $2 in American. I ended up giving him $10 and say, hey, next time we get pulled over, just give the guy money. Let's keep going. While we were being hassled for about 10 minutes, a group of young Indian kids, probably about a half a dozen of them, probably in the ages of 6 to 8. And one of them comes up to the window of my car. Oh, no, all of them are putting their hands on the window of my car. One young girl, maybe 7, 8 years old, had a webbed hand and a smile from ear to ear. You know, one of the things that's really got me around, first of all, I've been everywhere. I've been to the Taj Mahal, obviously, a couple of times. I've been to the pyramids. I've been to the Colosseum in Rome. I've been to Eiffel Tower. You know what? I've been there, done it, everything. And all that stuff is inanimate objects. They're just nothing. The Great China Wall is a big, long fence, right? Cement, right? But the people you meet in these different countries, the people I meet sitting next to me, the people I meet, including that 8-year-old girl with the webbed hand, she gave me charity. She gave me the gift of, hey, remember how blessed you are.
Amen.
Remember, because if I could be in India trying to get just some kind of food or something for survival, and I've been blessed, whatever, or cursed with this webbed hand, but I'm a happy person. I'm happy with who I am. I'm not rich. I don't have all the things, the blessings that you have, sir, but I'm a happy person. And when I find people that are so poor, so far off, and somehow find blessings in their life, I'm going, man, thank you, God, for giving me the gift of travel and seeing the world and being able to know that I am so blessed and I don't have a right to bitch about first world problems. Right?
Yeah.
Tom, so tell me this, because you're just saying something that's just on point. And it's funny, I I have the weirdest conversations at the gym, by the way. I was talking about Willie Loman and Death of a Salesman and the whole concept of everybody always wanting more and more and more and not finding the riches within, which is a weird conversation for two men to have in a sauna post basketball, but that's my brain. Talk about that, because what you're saying, it resonates with me so much. I almost, and I know you've seen the same thing. I was in Cambodia. I was in Sri Lanka. I've been in places that there's a lot of, poor people, in certain places in Brazil and some of the, the favelas. When I go into these places, I actually feel like I find the most beautiful people on the planet because of the having nothing. I don't want to say it's easier, but there's less distraction. So you're looking inside for your own peace and happiness. How do we help the people who are listening to this show? What advice can we give them who have the outside riches? Because that becomes noise. That becomes exposure. I feel like there's so many people who are living out here. To bring it back in here while having the gifts can be very, very difficult. What can we tell everybody who's listening right now to find that peace, that comfort, that love, that happiness in your heart so that you're not chasing it externally?
Yeah. Well, how many stories do we see week in and week out of people committing suicide that are millionaires, have everything, and you go, how can that person commit suicide when they had everything? You know what they didn't have? They didn't have that inner peace. They didn't have the happiness. They didn't have what that 8-year-old girl in India with a webbed hand had. And that is, and that, here's the thing. When you're going around the world and you're going, how can so many people with so little in their lives be so happy? Is because that's the only thing they know. That's the only thing they compare to. So they feel, hey, they're alive, they're well. There's people that they've seen die from diseases that they didn't have to suffer if they were in a first world country like ours. I think one of the biggest problems we have is gosh, it makes me sick to my stomach that everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die, right? So you have people that want to be millionaires. So, okay, I don't want to work for a living. So maybe I should be an influencer and just do stupid shit on videos and make a fool of myself or make a fool of other people and then try to get a lot of views so I can get paid money for that stupidity. You got I don't want to be a hater on the Kardashians, but I mean, really? I mean, so it just seems like it's every time I see them, it's, oh, they just bought a $50,000 Rolex for their 4-year-old daughter. I don't see a whole lot of articles about, I just spent $50,000 to have that woman's hand fixed in India or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Mr. Beast does that.
I mean, this isn't a shot against the Kardashians. It's a shot against America right now.
Yeah, society as a whole.
Our society is getting sick, where it's all about me. Whether it's the traffic that we're in, and everybody goes, oh no, I need to turn in front of you. It's just so. We're all about us. We're living in a me. It seems like we're in just one giant Jerry Springer show, for God's sake. And
that's the reality.
I don't see that many people counting their blessings. I don't see, the pandemic brought out the best and the worst in some people. I thought it brought out the best in my community because
I think so.
Because everybody, we couldn't travel, so we all walked around our neighborhood. We all got to know our neighbors. I'm guilty. My neighbor who's behind me, I lived there for 20 years. I never even knew their names and met them. And now we're good friends because the pandemic gave us a chance to really get to meet people because we couldn't go anywhere, right? So we literally got to meet our neighbors. I found it an unbelievable blessing, and I found one of my top 5 new friends was a neighbor that lived a couple blocks away. And just you get to know that, and back to that, to give yourself isn't money, it isn't always time. It could be giving yourself for 10 seconds of your life to try to make someone else's life better. Yes. Just making their day happy by going by and say, have a great day, or just or thank you and please, and showing respect for individuals, whether they're more well off or less well off than you. But if we treat each other really good, if we show respect for each other, if we just let people know that, hey, life's too short, just enjoy the moment and thank you. I'll go to a store and I'll say, you know what? The best part of shopping here isn't your prices. It's the people that work here.
Oh, man, we do. We both do that. Love it.
But you know what you did to somebody?
You light them up.
You gave someone validation. You gave someone that, you know what? I am a good person. I am. And maybe the next time they're ready to rip someone's head off, they're going, you know what? Life's too short. Let's just stay positive, or let's avoid the negativity. And for the people going back to the reason why the poor people in our country, or in our country too, and the poor people in other countries always seem to be so happy is because that they don't have anything else to compare to. But I'm telling you, the media, the Facebook, the TV shows, that's all about wealth and being a zillionaire.
Ego. It's all about ego. It's like really that egoic validation. We're always looking, like Scott said, to the external world to get that internal validation. What you're talking about, Tom, is the fact that when you get right with yourself and when you have a vision for yourself of what legacy you want to leave, and we talk about this a lot on the show, is giving people that visualization to say, okay, if I die today, who do I want to be remembered for? And am I living congruently to that? And I love your message about that, because really it is about the small things that we could do, not only for other people, but the small things we really can do for ourselves, like talking better to ourselves and treating ourselves better. I found out, you're talking about the pandemic. Through the pandemic, I gave out a bunch of coaching sessions, just my way of giving back. I love to help people. And I heard this whisper in my ear, and the whisper said, ask this person, do they love themselves? Yes or no? And I literally thought it was a stupid question. I'm like, well, that's an idiotic question. I'm like, most people love themselves.
Chris, it's one of the best questions I've heard in my life.
Yeah, I started asking it. I started asking it, and people were like on the Zoom call, 75%, about 200 people sat there and struggled with loving themselves. And I'm like, but yet you expect to have an amazing job. You expect to have an amazing relationship. You expect to have financial abundance and all these other things. But at the very core of who you are, the center of your being, you're not loving on yourself. You're not taking care of yourself. You're hoping, wishing, and praying that something else is going to come save you. I love that message, Tom. How can we help people like shift that perspective from going from that victim, like, oh, poor me, my parents abused me, my dad talked like shit to me, my mom was an alcoholic, all this. How can we get them to shift and find that internal peace and love within themselves that doesn't have to be anything egoic or anything financial or external from themselves? What do you think about that?
And love yourself enough to find which lights you up.
Yeah.
You guys are so spot on. And it was years ago when I heard somebody, I don't know who was, and I know it wasn't the first time it was said, but they said, in order to love other people the best way you can, you have to love yourself first, right? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that, from a selfish standpoint, or, but yeah, I love me, all right? I've always had a slogan, and I love the slogan. I'd like to pass this on, right?
Let's do it.
Always be happy, but never be satisfied.
There you go.
Which means I'm happy as a parent, but I'm not satisfied in as much as I could always be better, right? I'm a good friend to people, but I could always be a better friend. I'm a good husband, but I could always be a better husband. So I'm always happy, because I think if you're in a happy place, you have a better chance of improving, because you're not feeling sorry for yourself. You're really happy with who you are, and you're really excited about becoming a better version of yourself, right? So I love that thinking. And when it comes to what can we do to try to love ourselves more, right, is just get that piece of paper and a pencil out. You don't have to use the notes section on your phone. Let's just do it the old-fashioned way. Amen. Let's get that old, as they taught us in sales, let's get that key close out there. Let's get that piece of paper and a pencil and put on the left side all the things that you like about yourself and you're proud of about yourself. And then B, the things that you need to improve on, right? Yep. That's one exercise, right? Another exercise is is how do you want to be remembered? If at your funeral, what do you think the conversations will be? You know, I had a lot of money, but didn't do shit with it. Didn't ever help anybody with it. Now, is that what you want to say? Or had a lot of free time, but spent it all just feeling sorry for himself. You know, just so. What do you want people to say? God, I'd give anything to be at my eulogy, right? But what do you want people? How do you want to be remembered, right? Now you say, who cares? I'll be dead at that point. Yeah, but I kind of care because what people say about me when I'm dead defined who I was when I was living, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yes, I'm going to be dead. Who gives a shit? You don't like me, that's your problem. But you know what? The problem is, like you said, why don't you like you now? I mean, so why aren't you happy, right? What makes you happy? Unfortunately, it seems like so many people, it's about riches and wealth and all that stuff. But you know what? I want to be remembered as a good dad. I want to remember as a good friend. I want to be the guy that said, you know, Tom Stuker was the guy that if you were his friend, if you were really his friend, and you were invested in each other as friends, that if you were down $10 and he only had 5, he'd get you another 5. And that's what I say about my close friends. That's why I feel so doggone blessed that I have so many good friends. And it's not about the $10 necessarily. It's just that they're there for me emotionally, not just financially.
Yeah.
They're there for me. And it's unconditional love. Unconditional love is in short supply today. Everybody, I'll be your friend as long as you are who I need you to be at that moment, right?
So true.
But we need unconditional love. And that, to me, I believe when I go on a plane, I have unconditional love for everybody around me. Why? Because nobody's hurt me or done anything against me, right? So everybody is innocent, or everybody is literally a blessing until proven otherwise. So,
well, we're all one. I mean, like, look around, like everyone's trying to get from point A to point B. We're all here to do the same thing. We're just doing our best. And so many people miss that, you know. So Tom and I met in a flight group, and it's people who fly too much. And obviously he's the epitome of that. I'm on the lower end of that, but we fly too much. And it's a great group. But one of the things that blew me away is, you know, you see Tom's positivity, you see MG's positivity, you see a lot of positivity. I had people literally bad-mouthing me behind my back because they're like, oh, he can't be real. Like, you know, he's too nice or whatever. And I'm like, listen, I genuinely want everyone to be successful. And what blows my mind is they don't. And by literally attacking me or attacking something Tom says or somebody else, they're showing their cards. Because I know when you say that, like, you mean that. Like, when I get on a plane, I'm not thinking, oh, I want that person to have a bad flight. Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. Like, everybody should want the best for each other. And because people are hurting, we know the old phrase, hurt people. Yeah. I think that's where we're at. So hopefully people are listening to Tom's former leadership. Start right in the heart, be super positive. Charity doesn't need to be you have all these, you know, actual wealth that we think of as fiscal wealth. It can just start from an energy exchange, from me elevating in frequency and sharing that with others. And I hope you guys are all learning from that and doing that.
Mm-hmm. And Tom, we would definitely want you to talk about, we've got this for those listening on the podcast right now, because we're on the podcast. Talk about Bailey's Day. We got it up on the screen, baileysday.com.au. Talk to us a little bit about that in more detail and what people can do to help support that.
Well, it's once a year in Melbourne, Australia, actually one of the suburbs. So if you ever want to go to Australia, March is a really good time because it's their fall. Yes, it is their fall, the beginning of their fall, because everything's completely opposite of the United States. But it's a great golf outing if you like to golf. It's a charity event that sells out every year. And I want to tell you, there's not a dry eye in the house because it is the most, it's hard to explain. There might be some videos. I'm sure they have some videos on their website. But when you're around all these people that have one goal in mind, and that is to reduce the death rate for kids suffering from children's cancer. It just, and you have a whole room that are just 100%, their hearts are so full. It's just, you're just in a room of love and giving at the same time dealing with compassion and sadness. It's God, I can never make it through the day without bawling like a little baby. But I love being a part of that. Love raising money to do, and then the doctor that's in charge of it every year does a progress report, and they've reduced the death rate for kids tremendously, which is so good, and so much good work done. But somehow, some way, I'm trying to get Americans involved so we can help raise more money, and it would be a good thing for Americans to get involved and donate. So, I don't want to give everybody. My glass is half full, but I still spill over a little bit and wet the carpet a little bit. But I'm not a perfect person, and none of us are, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'll always have my haters. I have people a lot of people are jealous or something. I just happen to be in the right place at the right time a lot of times in my life. So I've been blessed. I've been cursed a lot of times too, right? Mm-hmm. But I've been blessed with two great kids, a beautiful granddaughter, a love of my life. I'm surrounded by dozens and dozens of what I call the best friends you could ever hope for. The people I meet, people aren't close friends, but I have a really good relationship with thousands of United employees, and they're my second family outside of mine. And then my wife's family, her parents treat me like a son. Her brothers treat me like a brother. I guess I'm just maybe I'm so busy being overwhelmed with all the love that I don't have time to bitch and moan as much as I do sometimes. Right?
Enjoy the moments, and that'll happen.
Yeah, I know. I just, but at the same time, you just take a deep breath. Like I always say, sometimes my wife seems to be have ESP. I said, God, you know everything in advance. You have ESP. She goes, why do you say that? Because if I had 10 cents for every time you said, what's going to happen, what you're going to do, I said, no, please tell me.
Well, Tom, this has been an amazing conversation. We could sit here and talk to you for hours. I have so many questions just about flying alone, but this has been such an inspirational conversation for me because Scott and I totally preach and do this every single week. We've been doing this for over a couple of years now, bringing guests like you and with the heart and the passion. So thank you, brother, for being the light in such a world right now where we need more Toms in the world. And I know people can get a hold of you on Facebook. They can go to facebook.com/Tom Stuker, Stuker. If you just Google Tom Stuker, you can find out some amazing articles. I read a couple of them yesterday. You can also be found on Instagram at UC Flyer.
Join me on Instagram.
UA1 Flyer.
If I get 50 million more followers on Instagram, I can make money from that. So
there you go. So if you got any questions, if you have any questions for Tom, you can go to UA1 Flyer, and I'm sure he can give you information.
Or my email is UA1Flyer@yahoo.com. Right.
Perfect.
And so, guys, I want to thank you for blessing me with an hour of your life too. So,
thank you.
You guys, gosh, we got to get more people listening to you too, because you really, this is a happy hour without booze. Right?
And in person,
we'll
we
those
play together,
and I'm getting a 2-for-1 special.
We'll do that. We'll definitely make that happen one day, Tom. I'm going to place you backstage for a second. Don't go anywhere so we can still talk to you. Scott and I are going to close out the show real quick, but thank you again from the bottom of my heart. And we appreciate you. So thank you,
my pleasure, guys. Anytime.
Awesome. Wow, Scott, thank you for introducing me to Tom and introducing Tom to the world of the Unfiltered Experience. I mean, what a genuine, heart-centered person. You could just tell, like, hanging around him, like if you're in a bad mood, having a bad day, like there's no way that his electric energy isn't going to rub off on you. Be like, you know what? Jesus Christ, I can wipe my ass. And wow, I do have food and I do have electricity and I do have opportunities and ways of looking at things differently. I just really love his positive attitude, his PMA, as we talk about the positive mental attitude, because it's so important in this series talking about leadership, is that it does start with us. It really does start with us. And it starts with us, not necessarily saying what can we get, but I think his central message is what can we give? Like you and I are all the same. We go to the store. My goal is that cash register person's going to go home and say, wow, this guy in a bandana and a hat showed up and made me laugh today, where everybody else was bitching about prices and bitching about the lines and we can all make a difference in our own little world. And that feeds our soul, right? I mean, what did you think about the conversation tonight? It was just beautiful.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's very interesting because, if you backtrack and you just start to figure out which came first, chicken or the egg, I think we can look at Tom and think about that because, he's doing the consulting, deal. He's making some money. He's starting to travel. He gets the home. And then I think a lot of it gets to that point where the outside world seems to be giving us everything we want, but we notice a hollowness inside.
Yeah.
And I think that resonates with Tom. I think that can resonate with a lot of us. I know we're all experiential learners. Most of us are. I need to get hit by a freight train to learn a lesson. And I think many of us do. I wish everyone wasn't like that. You could just read a book and learn the lesson. But think of what's happening right now. When you're being filled from here, eventually you're going to realize that filling, it stops right at the shell of your being. It never actually penetrates. So you're never going to feel fulfilled. For a moment, you'll feel like, oh, I got what I wanted, but it doesn't penetrate. What penetrates is this. Walking into that plane, sure, you get to go to Australia and do these things, but it's walking in that plane, being kind to the flight attendant, being kind to the person next to you, knowing in this flight you're going to make money for Bailey's to help a kid with cancer, knowing you're going to come home and see your wife and meet the new neighbor again. It's the moments. And I'm not saying that money doesn't make people happy. What I'm saying is this: what's going to make you happy? And Tom brought it up, is being the best version of yourself and being present. That's going to make you happy. And then money can do what? It can amplify that. So what I would say, if I were you guys, is be the best version of yourself. An opportunity might show up like $290,000. You can fly around the world forever on first class. Those things don't show up by accident for him. American first, he goes to United. All these things are the universe giving to you opportunities because you elevated your frequency and vibration. I promise you that's the reality. Step up in yourself, be the best version, even when the hater hates, or even when the person says, what are you, fake, or you're not even real? Keep being true to you, because genuine people are in shorter supply than they should be in this world right now. Be that, because we need that. That's all I got, Chris.
Amen, Scott. Amen, Scott. And for those of you guys who are new to the show, please go visit www.theunfilteredexperience.com, theunfilteredexperience.com. Go there, check out our shows. We were on show number 230 something, I believe. And so we've had some pretty amazing conversations. And recently we've been doing series of seasons of shows. So last season was Who Am I? Talking about our identity. And it's a perfect segue in this conversation to go back and listen to those and really discover who you are at your core, and look at the people that you're associating yourself with. Are they building you up, or are they dragging you down? And beyond that, we've had amazing conversations. Scott and I do solo shows every once in a while. So go to the unfilteredexperience.com, join the Facebook community. Let us know what you would like to see here on the show. If there's a particular guest you've heard on another podcast, or somebody in your world that's doing amazing things like Tom, let us know who they are so we can feature them here on this conversation, so we can continue being the best version of ourselves and enlightening this world to make it a much better place, so that when our time is up, we can look back on our lives, and our friends and our family can look on our lives and say, wow, they really mattered. They really made a difference. They were really there to bring love and value to the world. So that's what we ask of you. Please share this episode out if it impacted you, and I know it did. So please share it out on your social media. It's social currency, and let people know what it is that you gained from this particular episode. We would love and appreciate you for that. We'll always be back next week, Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live on the video cast. Or of course, you can go to theunfilteredexperience.com and get us on podcast, on Spotify, on iTunes, wherever you get your podcast. Take us with you. We appreciate you guys. We love you. We'll be back here next week. Go out there and be the change that you want to see. We'll see you next time.